Hello, guys. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Ray Hover, the president of World Software Corporation, makers of Worldox. Most of you probably I've met, hopefully, and if not, sometime in the future when we get out of this COVID state, I will. So I hope you're all doing well in your current states. We try to reach out to many customers as possible. We at World Software are doing well. As most of you have, our staff is working mostly remote and continue to keep up with all the support demands and help most of you work remote over the last while. So we thought it was during these times, I kind of honestly believe it's not time to be selling so much. Everybody's trying to make their business run and figure out the new normal. And, of course, we're all eager, like myself, to get back to the office environment and come and meet you folks and have luncheons at your firms and do such. But I thought in the absence of trade shows and some of this in-person stuff, it'd be fantastic to start showcasing Worldox stuff, but that'll probably come later. But we have hundreds of great partners, great connectors to our products. So they too, these partners are looking for interaction and showing what they do. So I thought, hey, let's just start doing let's repurpose marketing. And thank you, Hella, for helping out and repurpose it into webinars, educational webinars, where we can help you out in these times even better. So with that, a good friend of mine, Doug Geller, is going to walk through and show you his new Clio integration, which is exciting. We have a lot of demand for this, as most of you who have Clio want it to work better with Worldox. So from there, I think, Hella?
Thank you, Ray. I'm Hella Schwartz-Grossman, and I'm the marketing manager at Worldox. And we started this series as a means to introduce the partners, as Ray mentioned. And we have these webinars on Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So we hope that you can join us for future events as well. And so before we get started with today's webinar, we have a few housekeeping items. The webinar will be recorded and the link will be emailed to you afterwards. Everyone is muted right now, but if you have any questions, go ahead and type them into the GoToWebinar questions pane, and then we'll address questions at the end of the webinar. As Ray mentioned, we are joined by Douglas Geller at GDSI, and he will be introducing the new Clio and Worldox integration. Doug is the founder and president of GDSI and a co-founder of Radrock LLC. He helps clients focus on the business of law by providing custom software solutions. And with over 25 years of experience, his comprehensive approach solves technology challenges efficiently and effectively. GDSI has just built the very first integration between Clio and Worldox using the new Worldox APIs. And the two functions of this integration consist of seamless synchronization of client and matter values from Clio to Worldox, as well as the ability to launch Worldox from within a Clio Matter. Both functions save time and add flexibility. And so we welcome Doug as he shares insights into the process and how they are going to help your firm integrate both of them successfully. So thank you in advance for the attention you'll be giving this webinar today. And Doug, it's all yours.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you to the Worldox team for allowing me to showcase the integration. And thank you everyone for attending. I know we're all busy nowadays and we're all Zoom and WebEx'd out, but I really appreciate your time, especially on a Friday afternoon. So I'm very excited to show this to you. We worked really hard to make this happen. We are a software development firm that has been working in the legal space now for 29 years, and we concentrate on building standalone solutions for legal integration solutions and automation, trying to speed things up, whatever we can do to try to help out the firm. So it's law firms, legal divisions of corporations, and of course also legal software companies as well. So we've been working with Clio now for a bit of time, helping them with migration work and getting new clients on board. But we found a really big challenge, which was how can we get Worldox clients to take advantage of Clio and tie the two together. And so that's just a part of what we do and something we're pretty good at. So we decided to write it, and we also decided to own it. So it's our product, and it's something we can certainly sell to firms around the world. So today, I promise not to go through too much of nonstop PowerPoints. We'll make it as fast as possible, and we'll get right to the demo so I can actually show you the product. But we'll go through, why do we want to put this together? What's the advantage of having something like this done? What challenges we're facing. We've already had it out there for a month and a half. We've had a number of firms utilize the integration, and so we've learned quite a bit from it, and we'll share our experiences in this PowerPoint slide. We'll talk about pricing, what the setup is involved, and hopefully answer any questions that you may have. So why Clio Worldox integration? Besides the fact that we've had so many firms ask us for this integration, really it comes down to we want a single source of record, right? Because today, if you have Clio, you'll end up creating a contact and a matter within Clio, and then you'll probably have to walk on over to Worldox and do the same exact thing. And so whenever you have that duplicate entry, there's always the chance that you'll incorrectly enter in the client and the matter. It's also possible that the coding will be different since Clio doesn't exactly have a concept of a client, which we'll cover in just a bit. So codings could be different, and time, right? You may end up creating it in one but not in the other, and things can get a little bit confusing when we're busy and the phone rings and we have to run here, we have to run to the next meeting, and we may forget. But also the ability to see all documents from within Clio. That is the big question on how we can get that accomplished. And then of course, anything else that comes up, right? So over time, we've gotten so many requests for features and improvements. So things can only get better, right? We can always keep adding more features. So challenges that we have, right? So the big challenge is that in Clio, there's just no concept of a client. Even in the latest and greatest bill, there's no concept of a client. There's a contact, and once the contact's associated with the matter, then it's a client. But really, there's no client. And so in any traditional document management system like Worldox, right, we have a client and we have a matter. And so we have to be able to come up with something on how best to synchronize that data over. And of course, whatever the matter is going to be and whatever the matter code is going to be. Well, in Clio, you can have many different combinations of what you would consider to be the matter code. So out of 50 some odd firms that I've worked with recently in Clio, every single firm had a totally different definition of what a matter code is. And so we've had to work with that. That's been a huge challenge. And then also finding documents, right? So let's put this all together and we create this beautiful Clio Worldox integration. Well, what happens when now, you already have Worldox and you already have Clio, so now you want to be able to link the two together, but we want to be able to open up documents from within Clio. And we have to be able to tell Worldox what to find, right? I'm now in this matter. Well, how do I tell Worldox what matter I'm actually on? And that's a huge challenge in itself. So we'll talk about how we kind of went through that. So for example, in Worldox, you might have, client code is GDSI, and client code is one of your custom fields in your cabinet. Your matter code is 001. But in the Clio world, it's contact code, right? And that's that long number behind the scenes. And then the matter code could be whatever you decide that your matter code is. So we have to be able to link those two together. It's very challenging. It's not as easy as just saying, hey, let's just build an integration. So in our solution, we've had to come up with mapping, right? So that obviously is the biggest challenge that I just discussed. So being able to come up with any possible criteria on how you're storing your client and matter data in your cabinets in Worldox, and being able to link that to Clio and how Clio deals with it. Being able to easily find those matters so that when you're in Clio and you decide to launch your documents, it quickly takes you right to the documents within Worldox. And then of course, being able to present those documents to you, right? So giving you the right screen from Worldox so that you can easily see it within some screen, right? The problem is that Clio doesn't allow us to show any other third-party company inside of Clio. So we had to come up with a different solution. Well, how we make it work. So it's really just two features, right? It's so funny. It's the simplest application, but it's also the most complex because of all of these challenges that I brought to you. So how do we make it work? Well, we're just doing two features. We do a client and matter synchronization on the back end. So Clio tells us that there's a new client or a new matter that's added whenever you do it. And in a fraction of a second, typically, in a fraction of a second, we get notified in our synchronization application, and we immediately create it within that documents. And all of this happens in a second. It's very quick. It's very quick and no interaction. You don't have to touch a thing. Instead of going to the Documents tab to see your documents, well, now you can go to your More Actions button, which will show you, and that's at the matter level. And so the nice part about that is that we have the ability to then view our cabinets that we want to synchronize, and we connect from there. So all of that happens within the system. Now we have our own application, which I'm going to show you shortly. You will all have your own access to it as you get on board with the system, and you'll have the ability to connect to Clio. You'll connect to Worldox, and we do not store your connection information in our databases. We don't have your usernames. We don't have your passwords. It's all in something called a token, which is basically an encrypted key that we use to get into Clio and to get into Worldox. But we don't store anything. And we certainly don't store your data either. So we don't know anything about your clients or your matters. We don't know anything about your documents. We're really that middle guy that just basically says, oh, you got a new client and matter? Great, we're gonna hand it off. And that's really it. So we don't store anything that you use on a daily basis. Part of our configuration screen is to define the different mapping, right? So we talked about this where we said, okay, on the left side is our Clio, on the right side is Worldox. And so on the left side, we say, all right, well, what in Clio should define what the client is to Worldox? And so if you have a custom field, maybe called client code, then we can grab that. If not, and you don't pay attention to a client code concept, then we'll just grab the contact code, which is that long number that Clio assigns every single contact. Same with matter. We can take whatever your definition is of a matter, and we can map it over to the Worldox matter, and then Clio matter name, because some firms do have their own concept of what is considered the matter name, since Clio has a number of different options. And then down here at the bottom, we also have our legacy mapping, so we can figure out how best to find old matters. A little hard to see, but you'll see it in person shortly. You'll see that for Worldox Web, we have that nice screen that will pop into our view, and you'll have the ability to view documents and to get right to the source of all of the content that's available to you for the matter that was selected in Clio. So what makes up our whole system? To get right to the point, we have our own private cloud, right? So you've got these two applications, right? You've got Clio, which is in the cloud. You've got Worldox, which can either be on premises or in the cloud. And I've got to get the two of them talking together. So the way that we do it is we have our own private cloud. It's our own system. It's our own web application, which you'll have access to. and it's our own database. But we don't actually store, as I mentioned, any of your data. We just have configuration options in there. So we have our own private cloud. Now in the middle, we have the Worldox part of it, using GX4, WDU 15 or higher. We make sure to be on the Worldox Web Services 3.x in order to be able to present that view to you, but also for us to take advantage of the calls that we have to make to Worldox, which is the API calls, in order to do that actual communication. And you'll see shortly when we do the demo, you'll actually see the Worldox web screen within our view. We call that an iframe. So we couldn't put that into the Clio view, but we put it into our own view. So there's nothing for you to install. There's nothing for you to set up. There's nothing you actually have to do. When you decide to move forward with the product, what we do is we sit together on the phone, we do a WebEx, and I ask you a whole bunch of questions about your Worldox setup and about your Clio setup. I fill in all the blanks, and you're live. And that's primarily how it works. So we make sure that there's nothing for you to install, just configure. It's just some configurations. And by the way, we get this question a lot, as a US only, and no, we actually have law firms now in Australia and London and Germany and Italy is coming up. And so we've got a number of places that, firms that are actively involved with all this integration with Clio. And so we're just supporting wherever Clio, Worldox, whatever it may be is integrated. We'll make sure that we cover those areas. And obviously anywhere in the US. So with that said, why don't we minimize that and let's get on over to our integration. So we have our app here, which is the application that I was talking about. And, I probably have to log out. It's timing out on me. Yep. Oh, here we go. I'll just open it up again. All right. Okay. So we'll head on over in. And so whenever we set up our screen, we essentially have to do a whole configuration to make sure that we connect properly to Clio, to Worldox, the amount of licenses that's owned, server configurations, and of course, all the different cabinets. So which cabinet do we want to actually connect to? And this is where we do all of the configurations, everything that I just showed you. And we also have our own logging. So we know exactly what matters are synchronizing, and we get notified at the help desk at GDSI. So if there's a problem with any one of our clients, we instantly get notified, and we instantly notify the client to say, hey, you had a problem. Let's talk through what could be wrong. So let's head on over to Clio. So first, let's open up an existing matter. So if I take, let me just move this, go to over here. There we go. So if I take this existing matter, notice I'm not going to go to the Documents tab. I'm going to go to this new button, which is the More Actions button. And I'll say for this given matter, this Mayor's House, Mayor versus Florida matter, I'll open up More Actions, and I'll see underneath Worldox, Open in Clio Client Files. Now that's the name of my cabinet. All right, the cabinet is Clio Client Files. So whatever cabinet you chose in your configuration would be listed here. And so when I select it, what it'll do is, I'm just gonna wake up, but what it'll do is it'll open up our web app and it'll take you right to the Worldox web screen and show you all documents that meet that criteria. So before we get on the phone, I added a document and just to show you an example. And of course you can right click and rock and roll, just start working. So we basically give you this nice view within our own system and you're able to start working on your documents. And you can search and do whatever you normally would do. But let's go ahead and create a brand new document. So I can go to Matters, let's go ahead and create a brand new matter. So we'll go to Matters, we'll go to New Matter, and we'll just create a new Clio matter. So I'm going to choose my famous Mayor's House client, and for permission, I'll choose everyone, and I'll say Mayor versus Texas, and practice area, I'll just go ahead and choose corporate, and that's it. I don't have any other required fields. I have nothing else here that I need to fill in, so I'll choose save. So at this point, that matter is now getting, it's now saved into Clio, and we get the notification saying, hey, a new matter's been created for this particular law firm, and now it should head on over to Worldox. So if we go on over to our system and we go to logs, you'll see that this matter was just created. It's 222 right now, but this matter was just created with success, and I know it's there. So if I were to select that more actions button now, I get a Worldox web search, and of course there's no documents because I just created it, but it's ready to go. Okay, and I can start working. So a few thoughts. Number one, things do happen with Clio, right? As all of you know that are on Clio, sometimes their system is very slow. This whole week, they've had pop-up messages when you log in on the right that says our system is very slow right now. We're having some infrastructure issues, and sometimes there are little problems. So we may not get the notification of the new matter as fast as we may like, but that's okay, because if you were to open up a new matter and choose more actions and then select this, we're gonna look in Worldox, and if we find that that matter is not there yet, no problem, we'll create it right then and there. And then when Clio is ready and they're finally ready to tell us that that matter was just created, it's not an issue. We'll see that it's already created and we'll just skip it, right? So we don't want to create a duplicate. The other big question that always comes up is what happens if you make a change, right? So if I edit this matter and I go ahead and I make a change to Mayor versus Texas, any change that I make, whether it's the description or something else that's on the screen, and you choose to save that matter, within a fraction of a second, we update it over in Worldox. So we do maintain the client side of it as well as the matter side of it, as long as we can find it, right? As long as there's a match there. So existing matters, right? This is always the big challenge when we first sit down together and we start talking about your system. Most of the time, law firms are not coming from a brand new Worldox and a brand new Clio. It doesn't happen. It's always going to be a pre-existing. I've had Worldox for so many years, and I've had Clio for 5 years or something like that. So we have to kind of come up with a way to synchronize the two and to kind of match the two up, right, by some criteria. And that's where, again, we'll go back to our application, we'll go to settings, and we'll try to map up how best to align the fields together, including our legacy mapping. But we don't synchronize, right? We don't take all matters from Clio or all contacts from Clio and dump them into Worldox, at least not out of the box. We'll do that as a separate service because we do quite a bit of migration work from Clio, and we'll be more than happy to set up some type of initial sync if you need that. But that's a separate service that we'll provide. Okay, so that's primarily the product. I'll head on back to the PowerPoint just to answer some more questions. Let's go ahead and start that. And so pricing, we sell it at $5 per Clio license per month with 1 year up front and then each year as it renews. We have a one-time only $600 setup fee. That's the time that we sit together. We go through the configuration options. We try to come up for you the best way to map all your old data together. As I just mentioned, you're coming from Clio and Worldox, and you got to get the two talking to each other. So that's primarily how we do it. So it's per Clio license. right? It's not how many users you think will be using this system or or anything like that. It's really just based on the number of licenses owned. So all we ask of you, is when you're on the system, is just continuously share your feedback with us. We love to learn. We have improved the product so much since we've gotten it out there. We've had so much feedback. We've had so many people come to us with ideas. And we really can do anything as long as it's within our control, right? So the number one question we always get is how come you can't get Worldox into Clio? And it's out of my hands. It's not that we can't do it from a development perspective, it's because we can't do it because Clio literally doesn't allow it. And so one day, hopefully they will, and we'll have an even better solution at that point. But for right now, it's the pop-up in the separate browser tab to allow you to work. But please, we love the feedback. We love all the different ideas, and we try to get them done as fast as humanly possible. We've got developers dedicated to this solution, and we're more than happy to help out.
Yeah, Doug, thanks so much. This is a great integration. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen the final version all the way through, and I'll say, I know Jack Newton very well, and we've had conversations along these lines. And both of our companies, we love integrations, right? That's what makes up a legal product, is integration with other legal products, right? That's what makes a legal product good
Right.
and useful for the lawyers. But we're both of our companies. It's unfortunate, but it's good. We're so busy cranking out current releases that we're trying to get out the door that not a lot of time for us to spend, the thousands of hours that it takes to create something like this. So I appreciate you jumping in here. I believe both Clio and Worldox have used you in many projects over the years very successfully. Most don't know some of our core Outlook engine, Exchange engine text saving methods was created by your team for us. So you develop a good product, and it's really nice to have this out there. We'll make sure, hopefully you guys in the call will have questions or contact us, contact a reseller or contact Doug directly. And hopefully we can get the word out more, to expand this. I know we have a lot of joint customers together.
Absolutely, that's great. That'd be great. So any questions that have popped up? Let's see.
So we do have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Let's see. So one question is, if a firm has Clio and they are just putting in Worldox in addition to Clio, is there a way to take documents stored in Clio and migrate them into Worldox?
Yeah, so we certainly can provide that. It's obviously not part of the base product that we have here because we're simply synchronizing metadata, right? Client and Matter information. But we do provide that service. We do quite a bit of migration work to and from Clio. So we certainly can get that data out of Clio, and we can either work with your Worldox consultant to get the data over to them, or we could assist with the import if necessary. But absolutely, that's not an issue at all.
And we actually have another couple of questions, one of which I think I can answer. Somebody has asked whether the integration is only with Web3. And yes, it does require Worldox Web3 in order for the integration to work. Clio being a browser-based product, it made the most sense to integrate it with our browser-based component. But that can be any flavor of Worldox Web3, whether the firm is hosting it themselves or whether we're hosting it, or if they're in our cloud, then they can get it hosted by us that way. And let me see.
And we've given we now provide the Web3 product for firms if they want to host it at no charge. So yes, really nice and it'll really help out, I believe, these integrations here.
And no charge for cloud clients as well. Now, I think you touched on this, but basically, if your sync goes down, is there a way to force the matters that came in during that time to transfer over from Clio to Worldox?
Yeah, so we tackle this on two fronts. One is, as I showed you in the demo, just by selecting the More Actions button, it will take you directly into that matter, and it will automatically create it for you. So it'll check to see if that matter's already there, and if not, it'll create it. But the other thing that we have is we have a queue process. So we'll constantly collect from Clio any new matter or client that's created, as well as any changes to the matter. So even if our web system is not accessible, even if that part of the system is down, we still have a separate service that's constantly collecting data and in a queue, and then we will hand it off to Worldox once the system comes up. Is it perfect? No, it can't possibly be perfect because all systems can go down and all internet actions can go down. But if that specific web application goes down, we will still be able to collect matters that may be building up in a queue.
Cool. So there's another question that has come in that because I am not quite as well versed in Clio as you are, I'm hoping that this question makes some more sense to you than it does to me. But somebody has asked, what would the steps be to get Worldox documents into Clio Connect?
Yeah, this is a good question that comes up every week. There is no beautiful way. And the reason why is, number one, Clio Connect doesn't have an API. So I can't write to it. I can't do anything with it. That's one of the other questions that I constantly bring up to, or points that I constantly bring up to Clio development. Is, guys, you gotta open this thing up. You gotta allow us to do some type of synchronization between the two, because it's a major issue. You want to open up your documents in a portal, and you want your clients to be able to have access to case information and documents, but those documents have to be in Clio for that to happen.
If I may, having not seen how that works, does it allow documents that are not stored in Clio to be put in there?
That's right. Documents have to be in Clio, so I can't have a third-party source. I'd have to set up a synchronization of some sort to go from Worldox into Clio, but we also don't want people editing those documents because technically the source is Worldox itself. We just want them there available to their clients, as they expose it on the portal, the Clio Connect portal. So it's very tricky and not an easy thing to do.
Well, on the other hand, if I might put in a little plug for some of our other integrations, we have several integrations into sharing platforms, one of which is ShareFile, and we are about to come out with an integration with Microsoft Teams. So alternatively, if the customer already is an Office 365 user, then they already own Microsoft Teams. And so that might be another way that they could use to share information with their clients.
Excellent. That'll do it. That would certainly do it. Great.
Okay, if no more questions, thanks so much for your time, Doug. This was a great demo of the product. Good stuff.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it. Thanks for all your time. And I look forward to hearing from everyone.
Okay, have a good weekend. All.
Thanks. Goodbye, everyone.
Okay. All right. We'll say goodbye. We hope we'll be sending out a link to the recording for anyone who wants to watch it again, or anyone who wasn't able to join us. And then, Doug, thank you again, and we'll hope to see everyone again next time.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.